Good evening, televiewers. Welcome to Prime Hour on My Media Prime. This day, we are going to be revisiting the interview that was granted to the Guardian Post newspaper exclusively by Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH, who blasted President Biya's 38 years reign as President of the Republic of Cameroon, also chastising the government for their malhandling of the Anglophone crisis. If time permits, we are also going to be discussing a topic that was supposed to be done yesterday, which has to do with the construction works on our major highways, asking the question why government is prioritizing foreign companies over local companies. We are going to be discussing this with Prince Ejide. He is a communicator with the Popular Action Party. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me, sir.
All the way from Yaoundé today?
Yes, all the way from Yaoundé, just for this program.
How is the capital?
Well, the capital is faring very well.
Okay. We also are in the company of Tamai Jarvis. Good evening.
Good evening, Leonard. Good evening to the President of the Republic, and of course, good evening to Maurice Kanto and Ayapol Abine.
Good evening to you. I don't know what politicians have done to you. Adina Temibako, welcome.
Thank you very much, Leonard. I want to thank all the panelists who are here tonight, my Media Prime and the viewers of my Media Prime, and special greetings to the people of the Northwest and Southwest. Thank you very much.
Gael is representing the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM, led by Professor Maurice Kamto. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Merci, bonsoir Monsieur Luna, bonsoir aux millions de téléspectateurs de My Media Prime TV, bonsoir au président élu, le professeur Maurice Kamto, bonsoir aux millions de membres du mouvement pour la Renaissance du Cameroun. Merci.
Okay, I will start with you. Certainly, Prince Ejide. It's Ejide, right?
It's Ejide.
Ejide. You have read through what Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH is saying. Is this the time to come out and be saying these things?
Well, what I'll first of all say is that Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH, we have been following them. They have not been saying what they had to say, but today, if people like that, they are coming to say what is the facts of history, I believe that we are going some steps forward. Take for example, looking at what he said, he was interviewed on the Guardian Post. He said that President Paul Biya was prepared to become to take over Ahidjo, and two Anglophones he jumped two Anglophones. Now those are historical facts. But I want to say that there are people today that are even coming to talk about the history of Cameroon. They don't even know what happened. That in 1989, that the constitution of the United Republic of Cameroon was amended by President Amadou Ahidjo, and this constitution that was being amended by President Amadou Ahidjo, 1989.
1989.
Yes. 1979, I beg your pardon.
Okay.
1979, I beg your pardon for the. Thank you very much. In 1979, the constitution was being amended by President Amadou Ahidjo. At that time, President Biya was the Prime Minister of this country. And what the Anglophone, who was the President of the National Assembly, was late Estimula. And the Constitution of the United Republic of Cameroon stipulated that in case of a vacancy, the President of the National Assembly takes over. But they amended the Constitution, and the Prime Minister was to, in case of the vacancy, the Prime Minister was to take over. And that is what happened on the 4th of November in 1982, when President Amadou Ahidjo resigned. President Paul Biya took over. And now, what happened? In 1984, President Paul Biya comes back to that same constitution in 1984 by a decree, single-handedly changing the name of the Republic of Cameroon from the United Republic of Cameroon to la République du Cameroun. That is what got people like, people who don't know, like Von Gojin Dinka, who now in 1985 baptized what we are calling today the Ambassador movement in 1985, because they could not come back to what was French Cameroon in 1960. Now, let's even look at what he did. He touched Article 1, Article 5, and Article 7 in 1984, and other articles. Article 5, he came back to that in case of the vacancy, it should be now the president of the National Assembly. So you see that it was a game that they played because they never wanted an Anglophone to rule this country. So what Dr. FOMUNYOH is saying in that, he is correct. He is correct, very correct. But why is it now? But it is good, it is never late than never.
Yeah, but you as PAP, would you have, what are you saying, what are you proposing when it comes to the aspect of succession?
Yes, when it comes to the aspect of succession, first of all, I want to reiterate here that you know very well that the PAP has always stood for a federation. Mm-hmm. And when the PAP is talking of a federation, they are referring to the 1961 Federal Constitution. So when we are talking of a succession, we don't think that maybe a succession should be that an Anglophone should rule the country or a Francophone should rule this country. But the game should be equitable, should be democratic in a way of which the opportunities are open and clear to each Cameroonian, because all of us are Cameroonians. We have equal opportunities.
Okay, we have equal opportunities. I want us to look at some of the points raised. Tamai Jarvis, Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH faults government for using brute force violence on Anglophones for expressing legitimate, well-founded grievances.
You know that Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH is a diplomat, and equally someone who is a negotiator and a conflict person. And I believe that he talks in that capacity from a perspective of conflict resolution. And if we look at his series of outings, especially when the ongoing Anglophone crisis started, you will see that during the early phase of the conflict, he was more on looking at the conflict from the perspective of the Anglophones, that there is need for Anglophones to be listened to, or there is need for Anglophones to be heard. But he did not, during the early phase, actually carry the responsibility to say that, okay, let me stand at the forefront and see what goes. Remember, he was invited during the Major National Dialogue in Yaoundé, but he was not there for the Major National Dialogue. And I see it because I see it as a kind of lack of enthusiasm, or that willingness to take a center stage, that you are only in front when you see that people are clamoring for a change, or people are criticizing something, you come and play the messiah. But when it comes to actions, because if he was to be at the Major National Dialogue and he comes out now with this outing, I think I would greatly take his side that yes, he was at the Major National Dialogue.
What he's saying.
No, what he's saying is true, but it's nothing ordinary from what a common man in a corner would say. It's nothing different from what the common man in Moya will say. It's nothing different from what the common man in Ngokitunja will say. We all have been saying the same thing. We all have been doing that. But what makes the person in Ngokitunja, what makes the person in Kikaikilaiki, in Nanga Eboko different from Christopher is that he has the position to take a stand and to lead than the common man has, because of his series of connection, because of his series of leadership skills, and his workplace than the common man. That's what makes him different from some of us. And we expect someone in his life to say, it's not just to talk the talk, Leonard, but what has he done capably in Cameroon to ensure that he meets these stakeholders on a one-on-one, he discussed with these stakeholders on a one-on-one, even the separatist group, has he met with them on a one-on-one, so find out what is their modus operandi and how far they think this conflict can be resolved in a way that it will suit the interests and not positions of the people. But if we look at this conflict, people are more seeking for positions than interests. Position in such a way that this person will say, I want total separation. This person say, I want total independent federation. This person say, I want total effective decentralization or accelerated decentralization. But the interest, what's the interest? The interest is you and I. They want the best for us. They want that we should have good legal system. They want that we should have good cultural system. They want that our rights should be protected. That's our interest. Now, none of them are focusing on this interest. They are only focusing on, it must be done my way. Now, Christopher is saying that the government has not been handling it well. My question now is, how far has he met with these two stakeholders to say, okay, this is happening because either you are aggravating and you are aggravating from this end. Why don't we look at the common ground and understand the raison d'etre as to where we go from here? I think that is his role as a diplomat and someone who understands conflict. Because whatever he says now is not new. We listen, take your microphones and go to the market in Bonaberry for the same. They will say the same thing, that the way the government is handling this Anglophone crisis is not correct. But what makes them different from Dr. Crise is that Dr. Crise is well placed and is a diplomat and he has the power to meet these people one-on-one, and make
and influence things. Andwin Atemibako. He says that succession rules were hastily changed before 1982 to put Biya ahead of two Anglophones. He's still raising the issue of Anglophone marginalization here.
Well, I think that is...
Mike.
Yes, I think that has been the song of the day, and looking at the history and everything that he has cited concerning the press statement he made to the Guardian Post. But at the end of the day, you keep asking yourself, what exactly effectively have they been contributing to develop the country and to see that the crisis is being resolved? In 2011 and 2018, somehow people felt that he was going to show up himself as to go in for the presidential election, but even though he did not declare his intentions. But somehow behind the scene we have realized that he has intention of holding a leadership position in this country. Mr. Leo, I think that being a PhD holder and so many other citations that he has been able to achieve in life and in so many African countries, that he has led the democratic system to see that stability is brought into the continent of Africa. But my only worry here is when you have studied in like a University of Harvard in the Western world, and you have worked with the United Nations, and you have worked with so many other international communities. At the end of the day, I begin to worry when you start hearing such statements, because it's like you are making a statement, a good statement, but you are making it at the wrong time. Because at the end of the day, what Cameroonians will want are people who can absolutely bring some pragmatism in the field and change the situations on ground, so that people's hope can begin to be alleviated. But that is not what we are seeing. We are only getting speculation. At the end of the day, everybody seems to be criticizing the government or maybe criticizing the separatist fighters. But where do we go from here? That comes back to the common man's question. At the end of the day, what is going to benefit the common man? So his statement, like Jarvis was saying, is not different like any other statement that other people have been making. But the difference is his capacity and his position, which he has. How has he been able to meet either the government and meet Mr. Biya and meet some of these separatist leaders who are in the diaspora, and find out what can be the terms of negotiation, what can be the atmosphere of a consensus being reached? But we haven't gotten that till yet. So I remember the last time that Maurice Kamto also invited him, that he was also well welcomed by Maurice Kamto. So people like this, Mr. Leo, they have, how will I put it, they are very smooth speaker. It's like they are preaching another gospel, which seem to be like this is what is going to save Cameroonian. But we must be very careful with the motive that they have behind, because if somebody wants to come with a change, we know the kind of approach the person is supposed to take. Go and meet the government, put the government down. We have seen it's a guy who has made news, Mr. Leo, all over the world. He's on CNN, BBC, the same man when Obama came to Africa. He was one of the people who were called on the panel to discuss about the Obama's outing to Africa. And I saw how he applauded the Obama's outing to Kenya when he even came there and preached anti-gay rights in rather preach that people should support the system of homosexuality. Yeah. So that was what he was saying on the platform, and he applauded that. But at the end of the day, what has he been able to speak against? We hear him speaking against what is happening in Cameroon. But when NATO went into Libya, when Obama went into Libya, what did he say? He didn't say anything. Okay. So those are the kind of things we have to be careful.
Maybe he said some of these things. We are going to be looking up for an opportunity to have him one-on-one on Prime R so that we can talk better on some of these issues you're raising. Mais Gaël, il dit aussi que time is running out to discuss form of state to resolve crisis in the southwest and northwest. Donc le temps est en train de, je sais pas, bientôt il n'y aura même pas le temps de discuter sur la forme de l'État pour qu'on résolve le problème de la crise anglophone.
Effectivement, parce que plus le temps passe, plus les anglophones, les Camerounais de la partie anglophone se radicalisent davantage. Le peuple crie, les gens parlent, les Camerounais de la diaspora s'indignent, les Camerounais de l'intérieur s'indignent majoritairement face à cette crise, mais le régime en place ne pose aucune action allant dans le sens d'apaisement. Nous sommes arrivés, nous sommes à un moment où c'est à cet instant qu'il faut prendre des mesures. Il faut organiser un vrai dialogue inclusif, sincère, rassemblant toutes les fils du Cameroun autour d'une même table pour qu'ensemble nous puissions trouver une vraie... Si la solution c'est le fédéralisme comme nous prenons au MSC, nous sommes pour le fédéralisme pour que chaque région puisse avoir son autonomie. Si c'est ça la solution, si c'est ça qui doit résoudre cette crise, asseyons-nous et discutons. La main du professeur Maurice Kamto reste tendue. Maurice Kamto tend la main pour qu'on puisse sortir cette crise-là. Aujourd'hui, il est séquestré. Aujourd'hui, Maurice Kamto est enfermé chez lui, séquestré chez lui, parce qu'il a osé demander la fin de cette guerre. Vous voyez, on embastille des Camerounais, on torture des Camerounais, on enferme des Camerounais, parce qu'ils demandent que cette guerre cesse. Vous voyez donc avec moi que nous sommes en train de déraper. Et comme vous avez dit, un moment va arriver où on va perdre le contrôle. Des gens vont s'entretuer, des Camerounais vont même se manger entre eux. La preuve, vous voyez que actuellement au sud-ouest et au nord-ouest, les Amazoniens commencent à confisquer des champs. La preuve que cette guerre est en train de déraper. Il faut que le régime, si vraiment ces gens sont là pour diriger vraiment les Camerounais, sont là pour nous, il faut qu'ils s'interrogent. Il faut qu'ils se remettent en question. L'heure est grave. Les Camerounais s'indignent aujourd'hui majoritairement. Ce n'est plus seulement une affaire des anglophones. Moi, j'ai une famille à Bamenda. Mon grand-père a passé toute sa carrière à Bamenda. Il était pasteur à Bamenda. J'ai une famille là-bas. Moi, je ne suis pas fier que cette guerre continue.
Ok. Tu n'es pas fier que ça continue ainsi. I ask about the fact that I say succession rules were hastily changed before 1982. Do you think it was just done in case genuinely, or it's because they foresaw something, the possibility for an Anglophone to take over power?
If you're asking me that question, I want to say that we know all Cameroonians are no fools. The marginalization of the Anglophones, the President of the Republic knows about the marginalization of the Anglophones. I want to make you to understand that.
No, but he knows about it, but he's not the one who made himself Prime Minister. President Amadou Ahidjo made him Prime Minister.
The President of the Republic, President Biya, was a Secretary General of the Republic before the referendum. He's the one that treated the dossier of the referendum.
Yes, but I'm talking about changing the constitutional succession plan. Because at the time he was made, at the time, if the constitution was not changed by the former president, Biya would have been helpless, because as he stood at the time, he would have been the president of the National Assembly.
He was the person that was being prepared for the succession of this country. He was the Secretary General. He treated the 1972 referendum, and after the 1972 referendum, the problem of the Anglophone marginalization came, of which he was the president of that commission. There are some of them who are alive today. We can cite Professor Dorothy Njoma, Achoyi Abem, who were members of that commission who tried to look at the Anglophone crisis. And at then they wrote a report. They wrote a report, of which that report was tabled at the presidency of the Republic. And the report which was being tabled at the presidency of the Republic, the compensation that they had to give him was to appoint him Prime Minister in 1975. And after he was being appointed Prime Minister in 1975, just of his study in 1979, the constitution was changed. And about 2.5 years, that is on the 4th of November 1982, he becomes president. And what did he do immediately that he became president? What did he do? He touched Article 1, changing the name of the United Republic of Cameroon to La République du Cameroun by a decree single-handedly.
To the Republic of Cameroon.
To the Republic of Cameroon, yeah. That's what I'm saying. La République du Cameroun to the Republic of Cameroon. And
République unie du Cameroun.
To la République du Cameroun.
Une République du Cameroun.
In that same decree,
why don't you call it the Republic? Is it not the Republic?
No, it is the I don't want to enter into the polemics of it, but I want to just say let's take the word the Republic of Cameroon. Now, what we are trying to say is that in the same decree he touched other articles of which he brought back the succession to be the president of the National Assembly. So what game were they playing? Who are fools? We can also, if we go further, we also see about the 1992 presidential elections, of which the records are there, which shows that the opposition won. It is no hidden issue. But since they have never wanted an Anglophone to rule this country, so you see where we are today. So most
Kamto will say same. Is Kamto an Anglophone?
No, what we are trying to say is that I want to be very clear here. The Anglophones don't have problem with Francophones. I grew up from a cosmopolitan town. Those who know Tombel subdivision. Tombel subdivision is a cosmopolitan town. When the UPC were banned in French Cameroon in 1955, if you go to Tombel, in 3 corners in Tombel, you meet the progeny of Ernest Wanji. The house of Ernest Wanji is there in Tombel. The mayor of Tombel Council is from the Francophone region, which is in the Anglophone territory. To make it to understand that the Anglophones have never had problems living with the Francophones. Those who know me very well can bear witness with me. The Anglophones don't have problems with Francophones. But the problem that we have in this country is because some people have taken power and taken Cameroon as their personal property. That's what we're having in Cameroon.
Okay.
Yes.
Je voulais ajouter le problème du Cameroun aujourd'hui se trouve entre les mains d'un petit groupe de personnes. Un petit groupe de personnes, ils n'atteignent pas 20. Ils ont confisqué le destin des Camerounais. Ils sont en train de détruire le Cameroun. Et il faut que le peuple camerounais se lève majoritairement pour récupérer son destin en main. Vous allez voir aujourd'hui, comme il a dit.
Sur les élections, non?
Nous, aujourd'hui, ce que nous voulons,
we need a political, let me take from the word you see, we need a political transition in this country.
Yeah,
the Popular Action Party is for a political transition.
But that is a declaration you've just declared.
Aujourd'hui, ce que nous voulons, c'est le départ de ce régime. Ils ont donné le meilleur d'eux. Ils ont prouvé ce qu'ils pouvaient prouver et ils n'ont plus rien à prouver.
En 2018, il fallait le faire, non?
2018, nous avons gagné les élections et ils ont volé parce qu'ils ont toute la machine de vol avec eux.
Okay, he insists that third-party mediation, facilitation to resolve the Anglophone crisis is inescapable.
Like I said before, he is a negotiator and a diplomat, and secondly, what he's saying is not different from what the ordinary Amber boys in the bushes have been saying. I think, again, I will still reiterate that Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH, I always like calling him professor because looking at his series of works he's done, I hold him in high esteem. He's one of the few in Africa that we have. I think I have to give him the credit. But what I expect from someone like that is that he should be able to meet some of the key holders are the lobbyists in these organizations of third parties. Who are these key holders? How many persons has he been able to meet at the United Nations and to tell them that, okay, this is what is happening? We've seen atrocities of both sides, and both sides are claiming that the government says, I've resolved the conflict from the major national dialogue, I have released prisoners, I am doing this to ensure effective decentralization, I've given a special status. The separatists are saying, no, we are just from no school resumption, we are just from this, we are just from that, we are just from that, we are just from that. Now, Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH, what I expect now for him is actions and no longer words. Leonard, I as a negotiator, I have said this before, that we need a third party mediator. Whether we like it or not, this conflict will be resolved on the table. Because there's one thing, I go back to Roger Fisher, Roger Fisher, who is a co-founder of the Harvard Negotiation Project, alongside with William Ury, who is a co-founder of Harvard Negotiation Project, who I took courses online from, he said, if you want to solve conflict, if you want to stop the problem, solve the conflict, kill all of those guys who are fighting armed resilience, it will not stop. That ideology are not fought with guns and bullets. They are solved with mediation that you can only mitigate, because once the guns go out, it is difficult for them to come in, regardless of which solution you bring on the table. But you can come up with solutions or talks that can reduce the radicalization, and now as time goes on, the percentage keep dropping and dropping and dropping. By so doing, Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH, at this point in time, this is what I expect him to do, Leona. One, he should meet the stakeholders of the state armed group, of the non-state armed groups at the diaspora, call for them, hold a conference with them, educate them on the way forward of a crisis, how to handle crisis, and respect the rules of engagement. Because if rules of engagement are respected, we will not much be talking about seizure of farmers in Ekata, Bafia, Munyenge, Kwakwa, Nakebole, Ekumbe, and so on. We will no longer be talking about the extrajudicial killings of black-leg people just suspected. We will now, when that side is solved, you see that the violence rate reduces to 10%. And the second aspect is school them as a raison d'etre of moving on with conflict without necessarily violating the right of the common man. It reduces another percentage. At that position, you make now the government. This is what I've been able to do. Dear Cameroonians, I've been able to meet these stakeholders and convince them to look for a possible way to reduce the violence as far as they are going with their causes. I mean, now the government, this is what you need to do, so that we Cameroonians will see that this is he's been able to put in effort to resolve the conflict, because whether he likes it or not, he's a Cameroonian, and all of us are suffering, and whoever takes care of this nation, we are all suffering together. I will not want to buy the ideology that the destiny of this country has been held by just a few persons. No, the issue that is, Leonard, it's always greener over the fence. We always, like Cameroonians, we have the tendency of blaming everybody, excluding ourselves. We all are responsible for this situation in Cameroon. Our great grandfathers are responsible, our fathers are responsible. What then is the way forward? We should be talking about the way forward and not the blame game. To me, I feel like the way forward of this country, of this conflict in this country, and vis-a-vis the economic conflicts, because we don't just have the direct violence, we have an economic conflict, we have a social conflict, we have tribalistic conflict which is ongoing, we have another conflict which is called the social crisis which is being created. We have a series of conflict, and this series of conflict needs one solution, and that one solution is that we should stop the blame game and start looking at possible ways in which we can, as a people, propose solutions than bringing in problem. Ask yourself, how many Cameroonians, how many of those who have been complaining have been able so far to meet those who are in need, especially in the crisis hit area, to provide basic materials, a part of NGOs, a part of political parties? So to me, it is time for us as individuals. Someone can do it as benevolent and say, okay, I will do this, I will do that. Even here in Douala, look at the way IDPs have been treated by those who recruit them, and the same people go around blaming the government.
Okay. This question says I'm Gerard. A lot of Amber supporters are saying that let us go back to the origin, 1961, 1918, and etc. My question is, who decides when the origin begins? I can decide to start my history or origin 200 years ago. Am I wrong? But let me get to you. No, let me just welcome Kezia Robert. You've been away for some time. We are glad to have you back on the panel.
It's a pleasure to be here. Greetings to my co-panelists. Greetings to all Cameroonians watching us, especially those that have dropped their arms and they have welcomed peace, and things now moving out to normalcy. And I will also plead all Cameroonians, especially those from the northwest and the southwest region, to seize this opportunity to work with the government for the reconstruction of our beloved northwest and southwest region. We should struggle to build our region rather than talking about Anglophones, Francophone, and saying history. History has gone. We should move ahead. When we start to complain that the constitution was moved ahead from this to this, sorry, it was President Amadou Ahidjo that moved from a federal to a centralized system. President Paul Biya has moved from a centralized to a decentralized system. So we should be able to inculcate this thing and see the various changes that have been put in place to ensure that peace comes. Those talking about dialogue, these guys went to Swiss and were demanding for 5,000 euros. We all know this. Some of them take money and we know how they insult themselves. Those are the people who want the government to dialogue with them. No, us Cameroonians, especially those from the northwest and southwest region, it's time for us to hit the table and say stop to this so that life can move back to normalcy. We've been, when people keep on talking, they empower these guys in the bush and those in the diaspora that are there enjoying themselves and doing so well while things are really not moving on. I'll be very clear to say this. There is a problem. Yes, everybody knows. Nobody dispute that. But the right way to go about it. When we talk about conflicts, we know that there are many conflicts. We have international conflicts. We have community conflicts, which is what we face in Cameroon. Inside, within a country, we know the conflicts we are facing. So when we talk about mediation, we get it wrong. We know all the series and method we can use to resolve conflict. But the most important thing is that us as Cameroonians need to sit, discuss, and look for a way forward. When you start to talk about people out of Cameroon that will need a third party will not love Cameroonians like Cameroonians love themselves and love the nation. So we should think about us taking good decision rather than seeing third party that will always come with their own interests. We've seen it all over the world. The worst is the United Nations, when they go into a country with their soldiers. We know what they do. So we should think about us as Cameroonians to be able to build our nation rather than keep on talking. When we even talk about the reunification of Cameroonians, many people across the Mongo from the other 8 regions, they lost their life, the Wanji and the rest. There are those that were very radical with reunification first before independence. They really fought and they lost their life. If you look at the story in Cameroon, English Cameroon, after the 1956 movement out of Nigeria to form a quasi state and the rest, no, everything was okay, but they fought violently. They lost their life for the reunification. So these are the things that we should see and know that yes, we are loved by our country and we should be able to support and empower our people so that we can build our country. I think that's the only thing we can do. Third party will not love Cameroon like Cameroonians.
Okay. Third party will not love Cameroon like Cameroonians. Greetings, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Rather than solving the problem by attacking the consequences, get to the root causes, and any other effects of the problem or effects of the causes will disappear. Achu Muye is writing from Bengui. Dr. Christopher is talking about the root cause. He needs not tell Travis and others about his diplomatic moves. Sarkozy is writing from Kumbu. Good evening, greetings to you, Leo and co. To be frank, the government of Cameroon has been very fraudulent in dealing with Anglophone since 1961. The two presidents, Ahidjo and Biya, have been systematic in doing everything to completely assimilate and destroy everything Anglophone, but they have been caught now, pants down, and they are confused and leading the ship of the country to a catastrophic wreck. Now, Mr. Ejede, Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH maintains that Biya had full knowledge of the legitimate grievances of Anglophones. What does he mean by that? Is the President of the Republic claiming ignorance about what the Anglophone problem is?
I agree with Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH, and the facts brings us to history, because my co-panelist was saying that we should forget about history. We cannot forget about history. It's just because some people have not understood even the definition of history. I want to say here that history is a social science that looks at the past and sees what is happening in the present to ameliorate the future between time and space. Now, we cannot say in this country, for what is happening in Cameroon, that we should not look at the past. That is why we need to come in and look at the past. That is why he himself was citing history, though he made some historical errors. For example, he said the British Southern Cameroon, that is the benevolent neutrals, left boycotted Nigerian politics in 1956. It was on 1956. The Eastern House, the Eastern region. It was in 1953, and the quasi-federal status was granted in 1954. I just wanted to make this correction so that our televiewers will understand the historical facts.
That's true.
What I want to say is that President Biya knows the Anglophone problem very well. He knows. When I read the writings of Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH today, I had pain in me, because who are they fooling in this country? Who? Is it us, the youths? Is it because what do people want? As people are dying, is that what they want? Look at what happened in Kumba the other day. That students were shot at close range in classrooms studying. I'm a teacher, so I know what I'm talking about. So what Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH is saying, I don't want to know if he's a diplomat or whatnot, but the historical facts are very clear. He knows, because I said in 1972 he is the one who treated the dossier of the referendum dossier, and after the 1972 referendum, President Biya 72 referendum, there was a problem of the Anglophone marginalization came up, and when the problem of the Anglophone marginalization came up, President Biya he formed a commission of which he was the president of that commission. I cited Professor Dorothy Njoma, who is still alive, and actually, I'm telling you, my brother, I don't love. I'm telling you, those are historical facts.
Everybody knows that. We need to
go. I'm answering his question that he knows. Now, what was the question? Now we are asking. There was a report that was being sent to the President of the Republic, and that report, which was being sent to the President of the Republic, President Biya, as the President of that commission, was the one that took that report to the President of the Republic. But we are talking of a man who became the President of this country, and in 1984, he changed. He single-handedly decreed by changing the constitution of this country, single-handedly, and it is that constitution that FOMUNYOH challenged. The historical books are very clear. Challenged in 1985. No, it's very important. Yeah. The Ambazonian movement. Many people are hearing about the Ambazonian movement today, but I want to tell them that they should go and read the historical books. That this Ambazonian movement was baptized in 1985 by FOMUNYOH thinker, and many people went to prison. I will not cite the others.
Okay, but my question to you is, what is the implication of he saying that the President of the Republic is aware of the legitimate grievances of the people of the Anglophones? Why is he saying so? Did the President say he was unaware of it?
He is saying so because this is a crisis that today we are in this crisis. People are dying for 4 good years. People are dying, and the President of this Republic has not made a statement. Has not even gone down.
Has not made a statement.
Has not made a statement. I'm telling you, has not made a statement. If you want to bring the major national dialogue,
he has not made a statement.
He has not made a statement. If you want to bring the
That's so biased. That's so biased.
If you want to bring the major national dialogue, we know what came out of the major national dialogue, and what came out of the major national dialogue.
What statement are you expecting from the President of the Republic?
The President of this Republic knows the Anglophone crisis very well. He knows the grievances of the Anglophone.
Yes.
The problem, what we need from the President is, first, in the Popular Action Party, we are demanding that the President should call for a ceasefire. The President should call for a ceasefire to give general amnesty to all who are involved in this Anglophone crisis. And 3, call for an inclusive dialogue.
Yeah, but General Nambere was here yesterday. He's not in prison. Has he not been given amnesty?
Mr. Leo,
I'm asking this question so that our televiewers should.
Mr. Leo, I will not. I don't want to enter into the politics of Nambele.
Hundreds of them.
Nambere
is just an example.
No, I want to say something. I don't enter to the politics of Nambere because he's somebody that first of all know him very well.
Okay.
When I say I don't know him very well, I grew up in the purely Anglophone zone. And those of my brothers that have carried arms, especially in where I come from, in Kupe Maninguba, that have carried arms, the problem, if you go and make a vox pop as a journalist to ask them the reason that they are carrying arms, they will tell you that the reason that they are carrying arms is one, frustration.
Okay, not because they want to go to Boya.
Who wants to separate with who in this country? Who wants to separate the rule? Let's look at ourselves in the faces. Who wants to separate the rule? I'm not here to come and talk, to come and play such politics that people are playing. Who wants to separate the rule? The problem of this country, the PAP is saying and reiterating that we should go back to a federation.
Okay, we should
go back to a federation.
No, it's not a discussion between the two of you. When I give you, you talk. Now, Andrew Natemebako, Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH, says President Biya single-handedly aggravated the problem by single-handedly changed the country's name in 1984 from the United Republic of Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon.
Yes, Mr. Liu, I think that all these commentators or historians that are making comments about the history of Cameroon and what has led to the situation today, I'll also stand with the other panelists that it is important when we have issues like this to look at the history so that it can help us understand the happenings of today, so we can make some corrections to better the future. Because the decisions that we are going to take today will affect the future, and the decisions we took yesterday is what is affecting us today. So the history is very important to direct us from where we are coming from and where we are supposed to head to. Mr. Liu, it still baffles me that FOMUNYOH, Dr. FOMUNYOH, who I think that as learned as he is, may not seem to understand this part of the history that I've been trying Cameroonians to look at it from that perspective. In that 1957, when the UPC fought the war for self-determination, and they were being overthrown by the French troops and the troops of Ahidjo in those days, that caused to the death of about 80,000 men. That a war that lasted for 3 months. The question I kept asking is, did the English Cameroon who were coming to join the French Cameroon did not know of the war that the nationalists fought in 1957? That is just to tell you that they already knew, the leaders that went and came to join knew the history, that they were not coming to join a people of self-determination. This is more of a French colony. So the one we are talking here about a centralized power, Biya changed the constitution to the United Republic of Cameroon in 1972. All these things were being pre-planned, and that is why I went back further to describe when they were doing the mapping of the English Cameroon and the French Cameroon after the Germans lost the war in Cameroon here in the Second World War. What happened was that the soldiers that were on ground that fought towards the Moyoka area coming up to Miselele, which were the British soldiers, because the French were fighting from the other side, and so they came and met at one junction. And when the map came from London showing that the area that now belongs to the English Cameroon was under the French Cameroon, and it took the commanders who were on ground, the British soldiers that fought out the Germans, to tell London that they were not going to give out this area to the French Cameroon because that was where they lost their best soldiers. And it almost led to another war between France and Britain in Cameroon here. And when London realized that another war was going to erupt, that was when they remapped and gave that area now to the English Cameroon. So the aspect of assimilation had already been in the minds of the colonial master, and that is why they looked at Ahidjo. By history, it said that Ahidjo was the only person at that time who had worked in all the regions and understood the Anglophone brother. So it was very vital that France still continues with its hidden agenda for assimilation, and they used Ahidjo, and the Anglophones came in. And when the Anglophones came in, now Ahidjo was now set aside, and then they brought now in another individual who now came in with the real accelerated assimilation process, which we heard him even when he was in France. He said that the assimilation did not work because that is where we are today. The crisis that we are talking today, we are talking due to the hidden agenda of the assimilation. So this is not really all about one man that we are talking about, Mr. Biya. So when I hear Mr. Dr. FOMUNYOH talking these kind of things, I don't wonder whether he did not understand the history very well. So if he should help us, or if he wants to make a bold statement to what is happening in Cameroon, he should be telling France that allow the Cameroonians themselves to manage their own affairs. Because we have seen that Biya has his own lapses. he has his own good side, he has his own bad side. But at the end of the day, we cannot how will I put it? We cannot talk only about that Biya is a problem, Biya is a problem. No. To me, the way I look at it, it was a system that was placed in 1960. That the 1961 people that came in to join the 1960 people of their independence were all a colony, and this is where we are still today, Mr. Liu. So that is the core root of the problem. So if we are to resolve the problem in Cameroon, federation will not be a solution. Why? Because the people of the Southwest will not accept federation, only because they also feel that they are being marginalized by the Northwesterners. So they want what they call the regional autonomy or decentralization, where regions can manage their own resources. So you realize that the issue is so complex. When we're talking of going back to two-state federation, it cannot apply. And that is why people like Cardinal Toumi in those days were standing for the two-state federation. It can't work out that way anymore, Mr. Liu. For this country to succeed, we must be able to review the 1960 policy and the 1961 policy and begin to fight for self-determination, where the Cameroonians themselves can make policies that can improve their own nation. But as it stands right now, the hands of our government and our head of state is tied, because it's like a cult, where you are put in there and you go in with a high aspiration to change a nation. It's easy. Any person who feels that I can be a head of state only thinks of the good thing he can do for his country. But when you get there, you come to realize that you have entered into an occultic house where you only do things that are being told for you to do. And it's the same system that we talk today, that the FOMUNYOH, who is, how will I put it, a PhD of political sciences, understand this thing very well, that even in the democratic world, he been a facilitator of transitional powers in Africa, in the democratic countries in Africa, does not work the way they are being trained to lead. It doesn't work that way.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. The devil has come to kill and destroy. Prayer and fasting is our only solution. The Lord will answer our prayers. Again, Donatien is writing from Yaoundé, I guess. Yes. Wisdom from Yaoundé says, good evening, Mr. Liu. The president, Mr. Paul Biya, knows the truth about our suffering today, because he's the second seller after Ahidjo. Good evening to you. Wisdom in Yaoundé. Hi, Media Prime. I greatly appreciate the content of your today's discussion, but what others me is when the CRM will wake up from slumber to stop calling come to president-elects. Okay. Good evening to you. Michaelson, writing from Yaoundé, says, good evening, Mr. Liu. I pray we could have two states, Southern Cameroon and Eastern Cameroon, that we can fly from one state to the other freely and peaceful. Okay. Good evening to you, Michaelson. Hello to everyone. Esther, also writing from Yaoundé, says, good evening to the house, Mr. Liu. Everything that has a beginning must have an end. If you carry your hands up, there will be time. You will be tired and put it down. Good evening to you, Esther. Mr. Liu, good evening. Okay. Pa Martin is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Pa Martin. Greetings, Mr. Liu and crew. Destruction. I agree there is no need involving the so-called diaspora in any discussion. Those people are just another. Etedruda is writing from Douala. Good evening to you. Good evening to you in the studio. I can see that one of your panelists have put on weight. It can be seen from his justification. George is writing from Bamenda. Okay. Okay, Gaël. Docteur Christopher FOMUNYOH dit qu'il est extrêmement, il n'est pas content de la manière le président de la République a géré le pays pendant 38 ans, qu'il est très déçu.
Effectivement, il a raison d'être déçu au regard du bilan du président Biya. Parce que quand on essaye de faire un feedback dans l'histoire, on comprend que le président Biya est là où il est aujourd'hui avec la plupart des membres de son gouvernement, parce que des gens ont fait énormément de sacrifices. Je veux comme ça parler par exemple de Ruben Umnyobe, qui a bravé tellement de sacrifices pour que nous soyons un Cameroun indépendant aujourd'hui. Vous savez, le problème anglophone aujourd'hui est un problème purement historique. Aujourd'hui, on a des divisions partout au Cameroun, on a le tribalisme par là, on a la sécession de l'autre côté. Or, l'UPC, en 1952, par exemple, avait 3 objectifs majeurs qu'il défendait. En l'occurrence, par exemple, il avait pour objectif de grouper les populations du Cameroun en menant une lutte résolue contre les divisions tribales. Mais vous allez voir que quand M. Biya est arrivé au pouvoir, il a entretenu
Son Excellence, M. Biya.
Quand M. Biya est arrivé au pouvoir, il a entretenu le tribalisme. Vous allez voir dans les universités, on entretient le tribalisme. Or, l'UPC luttait à l'époque contre le racisme, le tribalisme, contre toutes sortes de discriminations basées sur les conceptions religieuses. Deuxièmement, l'UPC aussi à l'époque avait pour mission d'instruire aux populations, je sais pas, la capacité de défendre leurs droits, de défendre leur liberté. Et on peut voir que aujourd'hui c'est le peuple anglophone qui possède en leur ADN cette capacité-là de s'exprimer et revendiquer. C'est ce que nos leaders historiques prônaient dans l'histoire passée. Mais nous allons voir qu'aujourd'hui, on a envie j'ai envie même de dire que quand le monsieur Biya est arrivé au pouvoir, il a travaillé à déconstruire, à détruire, je sais pas, l'ensemble de toutes ces idées qui pouvaient aujourd'hui rendre notre pays un géant, je sais pas comment on dit souvent, au pied d'Agile. Or, je sais pas, qu'est-ce que le peuple camerounais demande? Qu'est-ce que les Camerounais du côté anglophone demandent tout simplement? Le docteur Christophe a tout à fait raison. Monsieur Biya a échoué. Monsieur Biya a échoué. Je suis un jeune Camerounais. Monsieur Biya a échoué dans tous les plans. Le système éducatif, aujourd'hui dans notre pays, est un système d'égarement. Sinon, comment expliquer qu'un jeune Camerounais possède un bac baccalauréat, une licence, est incapable de se prendre, de prendre soin de lui et de
vous êtes égaré, vous?
Pardon?
Vous êtes égaré?
Je vis au quotidien avec des jeunes Camerounais.
Non, mais est-ce que vous êtes égaré? Vous êtes fait éduquer ici au pays, non?
Pardon?
Vous êtes allé à l'école ici, non?
Effectivement.
Vous n'êtes pas égaré?
Je suis pas égaré, mais plein de mes compatriotes aujourd'hui sont diplômés, mais on les voit dehors là avec des benskins. Ils n'ont pas fait l'école pour faire la moto.
Okay.
On vend le rêve aux jeunes Camerounais. Les universités aujourd'hui et les écoles secondaires sont devenues aujourd'hui comme des centres de formation des chômeurs. Les centres de conseil, parce que ce sont des écoles non productives.
Mais c'est les jeunes aussi.
Or, nous, au MSC, nous prenons la réforme dans tous les sens.
Okay.
La réforme du système éducatif, la réforme institutionnelle. Vous allez voir aujourd'hui que la justice dans notre pays est bafouée. On peut comprendre qu'on massacre les avocats dans une salle d'audience. Vous voyez comment on entre dans le dérapage total. Nous sommes en train de sortir dans l'état de droit qui était un état de droit qui était légué par nos martyrs, des gens qui ont lutté, qui ont donné de leur vie pour que ces gens qui nous dirigent aujourd'hui soient là. Mais à leur tour, ils veulent tout détruire. Ils veulent tout détruire pour ne rien léguer à leur progéniture. Or, le travail que le professeur Maurice Kamto mène aujourd'hui, c'est d'essayer de faire naître en chaque Camerounais cet esprit de construction, de patriotisme, l'élan d'aimer son prochain. Au MS, nous cultivons ce qu'on appelle le vivre ensemble. Monsieur Biya est arrivé avec le tribalisme, il a entretenu le tribalisme.
Je ne suis pas sûr qu'il a la même vision des choses que vous, hein?
You see, people enjoy freedom of speech now, thanks to President Biya. Vous disiez que le président n'a rien fait. On est dans le multipartitisme, c'est lui qui a amené. Vous êtes là parce que lui l'a amené. Deuxièmement, on parle de la liberté de presse, monsieur. Vous parlez aujourd'hui parce que le président Biya a fait possible. Autant de Amadou Aïdjo, vous pouvez le faire. Autant de Mbida, vous pouvez le faire. Il y a la liberté parce que lui, il a amené cette liberté. Donc, alors que vous parlez qu'il a échoué, donc, ça me dit que peut-être vous êtes là juste pour parler parce que vous voulez profiter de cette liberté de presse. Anyway, to come back, I was just talking to him when he said President Biya has failed. And I was just struggling to tell him that President Biya brought multipartism. President Biya, we are talking today, they are representing their political parties because President Biya accepted multipartism. Secondly, when we are talking about liberty of press, we should be all honest. In the time of Amadou Aïdjo, was this possible? In the time of Biya, was this possible? We are seeing the changes that are there, and we just want to complain maybe because okay, we are let us complain.
Times.
When I earlier
might have forced the system also to accept what it takes to govern today.
There are countries that people sit on the platform like this and discuss, and military men come and hijack journalists and people doing interview. We've seen it around us. That people sit like this, we are discussing as we are discussing like this, the military comes in, beat people inside the studio, and the citizens are watching. We are seeing it. Many countries. Many. So we have the liberty here. We should not abuse it. My co-panelist here of the Cameroon Renaissance movement was saying that lawyers were being beaten. I respect lawyers a lot. But how can a magistrate stop a session, move out, and the warders want to get the two prisoners to take them back, and journalists, lawyers, they say it's impossible, they will not do that. Why would they obstruct justice? The justice they are there to help, to support, to hold from? We should be honest. We should not say things because we just want to criticize or maybe people to hear so that we get some popularity that said this man has spoken. No, we should be factual. When I said here that we are talking about history, and we should look for the way forward, many people, they started defining history. I did not say we should stop, we should not talk about history per se. We all know the history. Our children in Form 3, they already know the history of Cameroon. And secondly, it's a syllable in Cameroon.
We all know the history.
Children in Cameroon, they know all that. They have studied everything. They have studied everything. I heard when you were talking about the crisis when it started. Let me tell you.
Don't mislead.
Do you know what happened at the Manfred conference? At the Manfred conference, that was when Cameroonians, Anglophone people.
You yourself talking here, you don't know the history.
Excuse me, please. I'm very young and energetic. If you want to disturb me when you are talking, I can do that. I have the energy. All right, to go further, the flame of the CPDM is boiling in me. So please, just let me talk, then you can talk. We are talking about history here. Manfred, what happened in Manfred was in Manfred, where people of former British Southern Cameroon sat, and they asked them what they want. Ndele wanted them to join Nigeria. The other one wanted to join La République du Cameroun, and we had a minority that their opinion did not count. And that is that minority that started since 1957 that have been growing up to date.
Those are not the historical facts.
Everybody that knows, all right, let everybody at home watching us go back to the Manfred conference and study what actually happened there.
The Manfred conference in 1953. Please tell viewers to understand what happened in Manfred in 1953 was
1953.
In 1953, I talk about the Manfred conference in 1953.
That's what you need to study. How many conferences took place in Manfred?
Can you allow me to?
I'm the one talking, and you say I should allow you to talk.
I'm saying
please be realistic, please.
Manfred in 1953.
Are you talking about 1953 or 1958? Are you talking about 1958?
We cannot.
Are you talking? How can I be talking about?
We should not distort.
How can I be talking about 1953?
That is how they have been distorting this.
Do you know the date? How can I be talking about the Manfred conference of 1953?
Please. What year are you talking? What Manfred conference are you talking about?
Good. 58.
1958.
Yes.
What happened?
Good. That was where the High Commissioner that was leaving Nigeria already asked the people, I am going. We are not your colonial master. You are a trusteeship territory, and we need to give report to them. What do you people actually want? That is where the conflict started, where Ndele said, no, we want this way. KNDP or Foncha and S. Solomon Tandemuna, they say we want this way. We had also people that were there that wanted us to remain as a state. It was there before independence. They were there, that minority group were there, and things have evolved and they have changed. And they are the ones not terrorizing us. So when we are talking about history, we should even go far behind. Don't think that when you come out, you say, oh, this, no. But we all know this history. It is in the syllable in Form 5. They study German Cameroon, they study the First World War, they study the partition, and they study everything up to now. My point is, we all know all this history. We are there. The way forward. One, the drop of arms. That's it. When the First World War started, people in Peru were singing the mass going into the street. They were excited. They knew that they would benefit a lot. And that is what happened on the 22nd of September. When people peace plan, they were excited, they were happy, and they empowered these guys to pick up arms. And this is what we are facing. what the French people faced after the First World War. This is what we are facing now. We should be talking about the way forward. And the first way forward, first, as human being, intellectual exposed, is first to drop the arms.
Okay.
Everybody knows that there's a problem. We all know that there's a problem. But drop the arms, let's talk like gentlemen.
Okay, you made your point.
Je voulais ajouter quelque chose. Mon ami du RDPC vient de donner raison à Dr Christophe. Lui-même, il est incapable de faire le bilan de la gouvernance de M. Biya. Pour lui, le seul bilan que M. Biya a réussi, c'est le multipartisme. En quoi est-ce que...
Il y a beaucoup.
En quoi est-ce que le multipartisme... En quoi est-ce que...
Il n'y avait aucune. Je veux donner un ménage.
En quoi est-ce que le...
Deuxièmement, il y a la liberté.
En quoi est-ce que le multipartisme a développé... En quoi est-ce que le multipartisme a développé le Cameroun?
Troisièmement, il est venu alors qu'on avait un système centralisé. Lui, il a amené un système quoi? Un système décentralisé.
Et ça nous a amené où? Ça nous a amené
talking about the federal system. It was the people of the Southwest region that ran to Amadou Ahidjo and told Amadou Ahidjo they don't want the federal system because they have been marginalized by the Northwest region. They are the people of the Southwest region that ran to Amadou Ahidjo. And Amadou Ahidjo respected the people of the Southwest region. Then they complain. The history is there. We should be realistic.
Okay.
Please.
You are how? This history I don't know.
No, that history has been there, Mr. Liu.
That what?
That the Southwesterners have always had a different opinion concerning federation. They never stood for federation, only because they have the problem that they have.
Use your mic.
Only that they have a problem that they have been marginalized by the Northwesterners. It has been there, and it is the Southwestern and the elites of the Southwest that have also been pushing Biya for the decentralization and not federation. Federation will never work because the minority in those two regions is the Southwest, is the Southwest, and they are the ones that stand behind the government. When Cardinal Tumi was always holding the meeting in the 90s for the two-state federation and was calling the funds and the elites of the Southwest, they refused taking side with him. And that is why a small fraction said that, okay, if it doesn't go like this, we resort back to what the zero option, that is to secede.
Okay.
So it has been, that area has been on the part of the history he's talking about.
Yes, Mr. Ejege, he says regional elections will do very little to solve the Anglophone problem. That is what Dr. Fumni
Well,
says.
before I come to that question, I want to tell my brother here, who is a co-panelist, that we are young people and we are youths.
It's Kedia. His name is Kedia.
Mr. Kedia, we are young people and we are youths. We should respect it and everyone when we are in a panel like this, because I believe that all what we are saying here is for the construction of this country.
Yeah, but now, what I want for our televiewers to understand that whatever they see, please, whatever you people see the fight here, after this, it ends here. After this, all of us sit and drink. So,
but it's okay. It's okay. Yes, but it was also to clarify the television. Exactly. So that notwithstanding, I believe we are not. The debate of today is not for the Southwest and the Northwest divide.
Yeah.
Yes. So I will not enter there, because it's a whole debate. If we want to enter there, it will be a whole debate. So so for that. But I want to reiterate that the Southwesterners and the Northwesterners that they are seeing today might be having their small problems, of which in any house there is a problem. But no, listen. I'm talking. You were talking. I was listening. I was listening. You cannot come on a television. You cannot come on a serious program like this and make the world to understand that the Southwesterners have a problem with the Northwesterners.
Everybody knows.
No. We cannot accept that.
I am not preaching division, and I will never preach.
You are preaching division
because I am from the North.
And that is what the CPP
and I've been in the Southwest.
listen.
I will never ever preach that. Sorry, before being in my party, I'm first and I'm
please. I'm saying that
please. If you want to spoil the debate, please, I'll ask their mic to be cut. It is him who has the platform for now. Don't interrupt, please, Kedia. Let him talk.
Thank you very much. Now, what I'm trying to say is that we cannot come in a serious platform like this and make the world to understand that the Southwesterners and the Northwesterners have a problem. I say no. And I say a capital no. I've said and I reiterate that I grew up from a serious cosmopolitan town. And to make you to understand that my wife is in from the Northwest region. And I'm a Southwesterner. And I've never seen the divide. The one of the persons that has loved me so much is my father-in-law. So I cannot come on a television platform like this and then I'm preaching a divide between the Southwesterners and the Northwesterners. Let's leave politics. No, listen, it's not history. It's not history. It's not history. The policy of the CPDM has been the policy of divide and rule. That is a problem that is happening in this country. Not that the Southwesterners have a problem with the Northerners. There are no historical facts like that have been proven. But we can come in a little bit of history if you want me to bring the 1961 plebiscite results. But that is not our debate for today. I've told you that. Don't let us not bring history. Let us come to the. You have said that in Form 5. I'm a history teacher. What history do we teach in Form 5? We start teaching the science of history in the university. That's when we start teaching the science of university. Dans la science, la science en histoire, on commence à étudier à l'université. No, listen, I want to make you to understand that the divide that you are saying is being orchestrated by the CPDM party that you are defending. Now that said,
Engele insulted.
You cannot come to
the division between Engele and Fonte has always been there.
You cannot come to.
I am not preaching division, and I will never ever preach division. I will never ever do it.
You should respect the memory of a great historical. You should respect the memory. If you respect the memory of a great historical figure of this country, that I will never take. Of the person of Dr. Endeli, please. You cannot come on it's touching already. You cannot come on a TV debate like this, which is very serious, and you call Dr. Endeli such names. Please.
You want us to join Nigeria?
I'm telling you.
I said your political ideology was different. Don't bring emotion. You are talking with emotion to make the viewers think something else.
You don't know.
I said their political opinion was different.
The one that has a flaw.
Please don't bring emotion here. We should not be
Eli, we may take a break here. Just talk and learn. But you have not answered the question I asked.
I was coming, but there are things that we cannot let it.
You allowed him to.
I will not say shouting him.
No. You have taken so much time. Yes, you have taken so much time. Yeah, my question to you is, Dr. FOMUNYOH believes that solving Anglophone problems, the regional elections will do very little.
The regional elections will do nothing to solve the Anglophone problem. It is the truth. It is the truth. The regional elections will do nothing. We have said, and the Popular Action Party is clear, that we should go back to a federation. I've seen people are saying a two-state federation and all. That is not what the Popular Action Party is clamoring, that we must go to a two-state federation. After we have solved maybe the Anglophone crisis, maybe we have revised the electoral code, which will be equitable for everybody, and then we can now sit on the table to talk on the form of the state, and the form of the state should reflect what we had in Fumban in 1961. We can go more than that. Cameroon has 4 cultural zones, 4 cultural eras. We can even go more than 4 cultural eras. We can even go to 10 state federations, 10 federated states, and all whatnot. But we are saying that we should go back to a federation. What regionalization is just coming to give the CPDM the same clique, whom maybe they have not found themselves in other positions, to reposition them for what they are calling regions or regional councillors. That is what is happening. What would the president of a regional council do? He doesn't have executive powers. His powers are limited. That is why we are saying that we should go to a federation. Yes, if you look at the constitution of the republic, it's very clear that the president will appoint a delegate. Who that delegate we are referring to? A governor. That's what the constitution is talking about. So let us not come here and play politics and entering into to distort the facts of history because we want to protect our party, that because we know that we are in power. When I say this, I'm protecting my political party, and then from there I'll have political gains. Some of us we are not here because we want political gains. Some of us we are here because we want things to change. We are the future of this country. I'm telling you the truth. At times when I sleep, at times I cry when I look at my children and I look at their future. My co-panelist of the CRM was saying that if you look at the educational system, I'm a teacher. That's what I'm saying. If you look at the educational system, you can cry. Okay, look at something like mathematics. Mathematics is just empty. It studies mathematics, has first degree in mathematics, is empty. What can he do? But of which, if they started teaching that child in primary school mathematics and mathematics applications, Look at what that child will become when having even an advanced level and going to the university to apply maths.
Okay, Mr.
So please, let us not come here and play politics. Let us come here and tell Cameroonians the truth and tell the government the truth that it is high time they call for a ceasefire, that it is high time they call for general amnesty, that it's high time President Paul Biya steps down and allow a road for a political transition in this country for the youth of this country to take over for the betterment and development of Cameroon.
Well, Mr. Jere, you want to talk for the whole night?
No, that's thank you.
Other people have to turn up.
All right.
Even those who are watching us, they need to participate. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's regrettable that we still Cameroonians who are useless like some people. Samson is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Samson. Please tell the panel to be quiet. Kenneth is writing from Bafusam. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and those in the panel. Okay. Mr. Liu, Robert is just disturbing this program. Okay. Pa Ashu is writing from Konye. Good evening to you, Pa Ashu. This one says, j'espère que je suis okay. Merci beaucoup. This one's, oops, the messages, I cannot even read them. They just keep coming. But with you, they say there is a general anger. Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH says there's a general anger against President Paul Biya. Who is loved in Cameroon?
Mr. Leo, that's a very good question. You see, as a political analyst, and the way I have analyzed the situation, the political situation in Cameroon, I will not really go into blame persons, because we should not forget that in 1960 there was a colonial pact that was signed with the former the colonial masters and the Ahidjo's regime, which lasted till 2010. That we saw one of the last holds of France was the seaport of Bolloré, which was taken in 2019 and has been given back to the common Cameroonians, where now Cameroonians themselves can have their own means to earn a living. So I'm saying that we should not look only at the bad side of the history of President Paul Biya. We should also look at the good things that he has been doing. Sometimes people may not understand why he doesn't come on public. I'm not here to speak on his person, but as a political analyst, it's good for us to create a balance. You see, when we talk on creating a transitional government or giving power to a younger generation, it is true. But the question here is, are we yet ready for that change? Because if I look like individuals like Kamto, his last outing that he was calling for Cameroonians to go out to oust the current system, that was I think that's a disrespect of authority. You don't do those kind of outing, and you look at an individual like that. Those are individuals who can take the country back into a colonial system. When this Anglophone crisis started, a lot of Anglophones stirred up the movement. They supported it, but they did not see the demon and the catastrophe that was going to come later. Today they are regretting, and that is why I've always been saying that Cameroonians should be very careful with the kind of change that they seek for. We are still living in a colonial structure, as I still put, where we still don't own a currency, therefore means we don't have right to self-determination. So if we are talking here of a change of transition, we should be very careful. We need people who have Pan-African alternative nationalists, people who have interest for this country and not people who want to come. I kept asking the question in regards to a person like Kamto, when he was a lawyer in the Bakassi, a case between Cameroon and Nigeria. How much money did he make there? When he was working with the system, what was he able to change from inside? He did not do anything. So you realize that these kind of individuals who get up today and say, Biya go, Biya come, Biya go, Biya come, if they put them in that position, they will might even do worse than what Biya is doing. So what I'm saying is that Cameroonians should prepare. Use this period and prepare for the upcoming election and reorganize themselves, set aside their differences and come together. All political parties in this country have failed. Mr. Liu, let me be very honest with you. You don't fight against yourself in order to win. That is why I said CPM has never won, because you need to compete with other developing countries to be able to assess yourself. You don't assess yourself by comparing with yourself. You don't do that. And all other parties is just like everybody trying to fight and get the national cake or the elephant that has been killed. Because as far as I'm concerned, looking at it from a Pan-Africanist point of view, Cameroon is like a branch of a colonial regime that is handed into the hands of few protectorates that are protecting it for the interest of this individual. And until Cameroonians get out of this slumber and understand that this has been the core root of the problem that the people of Cameroon are going through today, is because from that history of 1960 that self-determination was refused in 1957 by the nationalists. So all these things, when we talk about whether it is which conference, is this conference, let us be honest enough, the people were bought and sold. They sold their birthright, and this is what the Cameroonians or the people of the Northwest and Southwest are suffering today. Their forefathers or their elders or the people who negotiated such, they were not able, honest enough to tell them that we sold you all out, because that was the plan of assimilation right away from the beginning. So these kind of things that we should be very careful that. I will be very honest, Mr. Leo, as much as I don't support the system, but the person in question, Mr. Biya, has done some good to this country at a certain extent. After the 2010 contract colonial pact that was signed with France, all those other contracts, he refused signing them. He has not signed any of those contracts, which simply means that if chance is given to him, he would do much better. It's because his hands are tied. I kept saying that it is a system in Cameroon that is denying its people and not the leaders. Anybody who feels that he can change Cameroon under the present status quo, if you go there, you will do the same thing that Mr. Biya. If you read about the communal liberalism of the head of state, you realize that when he took over power at the age when he was lesser than 30 years, when he was a minister in this country, he had a very high aspiration for the people of Cameroon. He had a high ambition for the people of Cameroon. But when you got into the system, you realize that it is not you that determine what should be, and that's why you realize that he has always been the one winning the elections.
The question I ask you is what I'll ask to the MRC representative on this platform. They say that there is general anger against President Paul Biya, dont la plupart des Camerounais sont fâchés contre le président Biya. Et j'aimerais demander qui est aimé par les Camerounais maintenant.
Celui qui est aimé par les Camerounais.
Est-ce que c'est docteur Christophe FOMUNYOH qui est aimé?
Ok, ma réponse est ceci. Celui ou ceux qui sont aimés aujourd'hui par les Camerounais sont ceux-là qui veulent un vrai changement, une vraie résolution des problèmes du Cameroun. Aujourd'hui, celui qui est le plus aimé par le peuple camerounais est l'otage de M. Biya. Aujourd'hui, le professeur Maurice Kamto.
Celui qui est le plus aimé des Camerounais.
Exactement.
Okay.
Il y a son représentant ici sur le plateau. Je souhaite que son représentant nous explique pourquoi est-ce qu'ils retiennent le président Maurice Kamto en otage. Qu'est-ce qu'il reproche concrètement au président Maurice Kamto?
Pourquoi?
Vous allez voir, vous avez remarqué que dans les rues, quand nous sortons pour nous exprimer, ils nous étouffent avec leurs appareils répressifs. Sur les plateaux, ils envoient leurs mercenaires nous empêcher de dire la vérité. Vous avez vu tout à l'heure, lui, il a passé tout son temps à empêcher le monsieur de dire la vérité aux Camerounais. Voilà comment M. Biya gère le Cameroun. Il gère le Cameroun avec la dictature, il gère le Cameroun par la dictature, il gère le Cameroun avec ses amis conservateurs. Leur vrai programme politique, c'est la conservation du pouvoir. Aujourd'hui, docteur Christopher, moi je l'aime. J'aime Maurice Kamto parce qu'ils veulent un vrai changement au Cameroun, parce qu'ils veulent la résolution véritable des problèmes du Cameroun. Nous ne sommes plus, nous avons atteint un niveau où il faut cesser avec des discours, il faut poser des actions qui peuvent vraiment changer les problèmes, les différents problèmes que nous traversons dans notre pays. Ce n'est plus, à un moment donné, nous avons même dit que non, ce n'est plus une affaire du RDPC, une affaire du MSC, c'est une affaire de tous les Camerounais. Mettons-nous ensemble. Et la main du président élu, le professeur Maurice Kamto, reste tendue. C'est un homme de paix. Vous voyez, il s'exprime, on le tire dessus, on l'enferme, on torture ses militants, mais il ne réplique pas. Il répond avec la paix. Aujourd'hui, mettons-nous ensemble. Mettons-nous ensemble. J'appelle, je m'adresse comme ça à la conscience des jeunes Camerounais qui ont eux aussi soif du changement, qui ont eux aussi l'envie de vivre dans un vrai pays, l'envie d'être heureux. Je ne comprends pas comment des gens au pouvoir, au lieu de mener des actions pour développer leur propre pays, préfèrent aller stocker, développer les infrastructures dans des pays étrangers, moi je m'interroge.
Okay, tu t'interroges, certainly. Do you buy what Dr. Christopher says, that Cameroonians are generally very angry with President Biya's performance?
That is his opinion, which is very, very wrong, because he has not told us the source of his data and where he had that as well.
Are you saying that if we were to carry out a survey, say around Fengudonbange, it will contradict what he says?
100% true. You see, many people underestimate the power of the population. If for the past years the population never wanted him, the people of Cameroon never wanted him, he will not still be there. No matter what we talk, we may have our own view, we may politicize things, but when the population says they don't want you, they don't want you. So he is still there because the population wants him. We've spoken here and we've cited history, but I myself, I will still say it, that the history is there, we know the history, but the issue is the way forward. Many people say the problem is historic, but I will say it's just simple, because we have two cultures, the English culture and the French culture. And that's why all this fight is. The educational system, the judicial system, way of life, everything. It's just about the colonial, the trust, the Britain and France, their culture that were implanted in us. That's the main problem. We may like with side change in constitution, all this. The fact is, we have two cultures. It's not our fault. It is the West. If we are fighting and killing ourselves, it's because of the West. So all this citing of history, we know them. The issue is, what is the way forward? Firstly, we cannot solve any problem with arms. We should drop the arms first. Nobody is debating that there is no problem. Everybody knows there is problem. And for me, I see this problem is just our colonial heritage, these two cultures. So how do we do to go ahead? Should we continue with two separate cultures and do this, or should we harmonize and have one powerful country and move ahead? Many people say we want to preserve our Anglo-Saxon culture. This will say I want to preserve my French culture. Now, the president have said, fine, there is a regional election coming up. And when we say the regional, they have no executive power, no, it is there. The house, the regional councillor that will be elected has powers to decide on the educational system of the region. It is there. The health sector, they have the power to handle all this. Secondly, about this election, please, let's accept this election, have this assembly and empower it. That's how politics is. You don't refuse what they give you. What they give you, you take and you empower it. We know our chiefs. They will have their house of chiefs. Do we think that if this election goes on and the house of chief is there and the house of chief is empowered, the house of chief is being empowered by the people and the chief themselves? If they are empowered, they will preserve all what we want to preserve. We should empower our elected officials. The institutions are there. Let's get the institution and empower them. So anybody that is saying that this election is not supposed to be there, the person is not understanding what is happening. There is a problem, yes. There are short-term solution and there are long-term solution.
Okay.
And this long-term solution now has to do with this decentralization, which the election is going on, which I ask all councillors in the northwest region and in the southwest region to go and vote come 6 December, where they'll have these regional houses that will decide everything about the region. Let us trust again our house of chiefs. We grew up, as I earlier said, this all is all about our colonial heritage. We grew up with indirect rule and we know the importance of our chiefs. Our chiefs are coming. Let us empower our chiefs. Let us not instead insult our chief that they are selling land, they are doing this, they are useless. No, we should empower them. When we empower them, it will give them power and courage to preserve what we want.
Okay, let's take a listen from Charles Kebois. give us the picture of what is happening in Menchum Division, Northwest region.
About judicial issues, about the issues that concern cultural issues, about judicial issues, about the issues that concern smart, well-educated, experienced men and women of this division. They know the corners of the division, they know the challenges of the division, they understand the problems of the Cameroon is facing now, so they were able to blend the needs for development in our division, Menchum, and the means available for development which the state would make available for all of for the regional house. Remember us. So in this country and in our region, my councillors will work together with the other councillors to ensure that we get rapid development and local power and authority. Water will come back. Electricity and anything should be, the roads should be improved. And above all, the schools that have been destroyed should be rebuilt, and of course health centers, and we need them. So these things are like a priority, and they will be done and must be done. I think they will do them, because I know these young men and women that are going to be voted into office on the 6th of December. They are very development-oriented people.
Okay, that was Honorable Nji Fidelis, one-time questor at the National Assembly and Member of Parliament for Menchum, North Constituency, talking there from whom I'm sure is on campaigns for the regional elections that are expected to take place across all 10 regions of the country on Sunday, the 6th of December 2020. Now, we still have time. Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH says Cameroon does not meet the definition of a democracy. How can we say this when we know that we have over 40 or 400 or 300 political parties, when we know that there is a Senate, there is a National Assembly, there's a Constitutional Council, there are issues that check issues of human rights, corruption, and how do we understand this?
What is President Maurice Kamto doing in his house? Is that democracy? That is not democracy. What Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH is saying is correct.
Okay.
You see, we should not blindfold Cameroonians. There are many tenets to prove that the country is democratic. What happened in 2018 after the presidential elections? We saw what happens. What happened, I beg your pardon, what happened after the 2018 presidential elections? We saw how political parties protested that the elections were not free and fair, that there were electoral malpractice, there were election malpractices. So all those things are to show us that we have problems of democracy in this country. When you arrest people arbitrarily, you arrest people, you detain people in prison because of their opinion. What is Professor Allengaged doing in jail? What is Bibun Nisak doing in jail? And the last time women even went to, a coalition of women went to give food to Professor Maurice Kamto, they were being massacred. Before then, before they went naked, I'm coming from Yaoundé, my brother. I'm coming from Yaoundé. Before the women,
you said they were massacred, were they killed?
Massacre.
They were malhandled.
They were massacre, malhanded is the same thing.
A massacre has
We
to
have
be
been
killing.
seeing. We have been seeing. We have been seeing.
People are viewers to
See,
No,
it's not a matter of inflaming viewers. It's not it.
Just
It is.
go on.
It is for us to tell Cameroonians the truth, and Cameroonians know what is happening in Cameroon. That would take me to your question, to the other question you asked the other panelists. That who do Cameroonians love? Cameroonians love three things. Let me tell you the first thing they love. They love my president of the Popular Action Party, Mr. Njang Dennis. They love Professor Maurice Kamto, and they love change. Because they love,
they love what?
Change.
They love
want to see
they love Njang Dennis and Professor Maurice Kamto
and change. And change.
Are you saying all the other political leaders are not loved?
These are the people presently now. When I'm saying Maurice Kamto, I'm saying Maurice Kamto and his allies. And I'm citing my president of the Popular Action Party that I know very well, Mr. Njang Dennis.
I'm not stand up for Cameroon.
When I'm saying allies, you understand what I'm saying about, what I'm talking about. There are also members of the CRM who are also members of Stand Up for Cameroon.
Just right.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that Cameroonians love change. There are personalities also that they love, and they want to use those personalities for a political transition in this country. Let us not. You asked a very good question. That let us take a microphone here from here to Rompon. To Rompon Dedo, and ask Cameroonians on the street who do they love, and then if it is true that we have true that we vote a president, and then between now and tomorrow morning we'll have these two people that have called their names to become presidents in this country. Now let me tell you, now in a nutshell, what I'm not trying to say is that Cameroon has a lot to go forward in the to strengthen democracy in this country. Yes. We are here, we are talking, they will say it's part of democracy. But I want to bet you that I've followed people that have come on TV stations after they have talked, going out, they were being arrested. Journalists, they were being arrested. Is that democracy? There are many principles that goes along with democracy. So let us not come here and then we say because we have many political parties in Cameroon, we know how some of those political parties are even being formed. Some of them are even branches of the CPTM, because they want to make the international community to understand that there is an opposition which is happening in Cameroon, Now, before maybe I'll go to the end of my logic. Now let's even look at the regional elections that is going on. Who are those for the regional election? Is it Cameroonian? Because he said it is Cameroonians that are voting for the regional elections. It is not Cameroonians that are voting for the regional elections. Don't come on TV station and tell people that it's Cameroonians that are voting for regional elections. Not Cameroonians. Even those, you will tell Nigeria. Listen, you will tell, when I say Cameroonians, the Cameroonian people. The Cameroonian people. Now, when you say Cameroonian people, it means you are talking of universal suffrage. I want us to be very clear. First of all, the Popular Action Party did not go in for elections. I believe also the CRM did not go in for elections, because they said that we should solve the Anglophone crisis before we can go in for a proper elections. Now, take for example, like where I come from. I usually quote where I come from, Kupe Maninguba. There was no opposition party. People trampled on blood and went and formed their clique, and then today you come and say they are the people that are representing the people in which regional elections. Let us not fool Cameroonians. Let us solve the problems of this country, and the president should search in his conscience and make sure that the problems of this country are being solved, so that Cameroonians will have a better and a good life, so that the future of this country should be prosperous.
Yes, Mr. Liu, you know, when it comes to political party, everybody will want to claim their party to be the savior to what Cameroon is going through. But honestly speaking, all political parties are just like agencies, and they are just like independent businesses that are also trying to look for profit. Okay. At the end of the day, because if he talks about maybe many other parties are like a branch to CPDM, I will agree with him to a certain extent. And how is he not sure that his own party is also one of those branches that he is that he is fending for? No, I can answer that. Another example, like when he cited, and this particular issue I want to mention, Mr. Liu, is very important. When we are talking of Cameroon not being a democratic country. To start with, democracy is not what we brought. It's not we who created or invented democracy. This is what we adopted from a colonial system, and therefore means that the much we stress on democracy, the much we keep dividing ourselves. I want to ask you a very good question. It's only in the context of democracy where we see disrespect of authorities. When Maurice Kamto, in 2018, I'm sure your party went out for election, and all other opposition parties went out for election. In that 2018, when the Anglophone crisis was already ongoing,
It was at its peak.
it was at its peak. My question there was, why did they not boycott the election? But everybody ran into the election, and when the CPDM won the election, they said, oh, the election was like this, oh, the election was like that. If you people were honest enough, there was no need for you people to have gone into that election. You would have boycotted the election, mount up together and tell the head of state, arrange the problem before the election. The election, it was not must that the election should have taken place in 2018. We saw even in the Ivory Coast where all other opposition parties stood aside and Ouattara still went ahead and won. So what am I simply trying to say here is that when Kamto was calling out people to go out on the street, there were youths he was calling to go out. It's a man of 61-year-old. And he stayed home in the pretext that he was under house arrest. Let us not deny that one. But what am I simply trying to say here is that how you encourage people to take over power by going to the street? Because we have a crisis in the northwest, we have the Boko Haram, and he wants to stir up again another crisis within the other 8 regions. That is what I call disrespect of authority. We don't use the pretext of democracy to justify that. Are we living in a democratic system? Does he have the audacity or the right to call people and go out on the street to go and oust the president? You tell me on that, because we claim to be practicing democracy. Let us not forget that we are living in a system where gerontocracy is the order of the day, whereby we learn to respect authority and elders in our society. So when people begin to use the pretext, oh, we are a democratic country, oh, there must be freedom of this, whose idea are you expressing? Because we are under a democratic system, it means that we should also promote certain things which are against our own values. Those are the kind of things that, Mr. Liu, I will always say I stand again. When the 2018 election, we still have elections coming up. Is it in 2000 and what? The elections, the presidential elections are still coming up. Why the Cameroonians cannot set aside? No political party in Cameroon will save Cameroon. The only thing that will save Cameroon is when Cameroonians themselves find the need to change and build their own country, like Kamer said in Rwanda. It was the Rwandese and it was not the head of state. So when we talk about the government here, we are talking about ourselves. So if your party feels that they can make a change, if Kamto's party feels that they can make a change, they can still decide, and the sensing you are talking about solving the Anglophone crisis, they can still go to the southwest and northwest and meet the separatist fighters and talk. Who stops them? When he was calling people to go out on the street, who gave him order? So does he need to become president in order to solve the Anglophone crisis? The answer is no. So all of this is just propaganda and politics, because people are just trying to get their own power and do what they want to do. Why can we not see how we can build this country in the spirit that befits us? Because what we are fighting here today is all about the colonial heritage. So, Mr. Liu, that is the way I look at it.
That's how you see it.
That's the way I look at it.
Gaël, qu'est-ce que votre parti a amélioré maintenant que il dit que c'est votre président qui est le plus aimé des Camerounais, mais
j'ai d'abord appelé mon président.
Oui, votre président.
Avant d'appeler le président.
Et votre président dit que c'est le plus.
Ok, avant de reprendre.
Non. Ma question est que vous avez décidé de ne pas aller aux élections. Mais vous aimez tellement le Camerounais que vous voulez changer comment il vit. Comment vous allez le faire si vous n'allez pas aux élections?
Ok.
Vous voulez que les gens descendent dans la rue?
Ok. Avant les élections présidentielles de 2018, dans notre programme de bonne gouvernance, nous avons dit que si nous gagnons les élections présidentielles, la première des choses à faire était de résoudre la crise anglophone. Et le peuple camerounais nous a voté majoritairement avant que M. Biya et son équipe de bandits volent.
C'est ça la démocratie?
Et son équipe de bandits, je mesure mes mots, je peux me prouver. Je peux prouver. Il a organisé les fausses transparences pour venir voler les élections. Ils ont organisé des fausses transparences pour venir voler des élections. Si notre victoire n'était pas volée, c'est qu'on ne parle plus de la crise anglophone aujourd'hui. Maintenant, le régime RDPC ne règne que par le mensonge et le banditisme là, que tout le monde font. Maintenant, si notre victoire n'était pas... Ce qu'on parle plus de la crise anglophone. Vous avez dit, le président Maurice Kamto, nous avons boycotté les élections. Comment est-ce qu'on va faire pour résoudre...
Non, pour prendre le pouvoir et améliorer les
conditions de vie des Camerounais. Aujourd'hui, puisque les Camerounais aiment le président élu, le professeur Maurice Kamto majoritairement aujourd'hui. Moi, je suis très heureux. Je suis déjà heureux et c'est un début de changement. Et je suis sûr de moi que avant 2022, nous serons aux affaires et nous allons mettre en action notre plan de bon gouvernance. Vous avez vu comment on gère un peuple dans la manière où nous avons eu à gérer la Covid-19. Nous avons mis le président élu, le professeur Maurice Kamto a dit, si monsieur Biya, parce que quand la Covid-19 est arrivée, le président Biya jusqu'aujourd'hui a fui. Il ne s'est pas adressé au peuple. Maurice Kamto a dit, si dans 7 jours il ne se prononce pas, nous allons prendre nos responsabilités en main. Et après cela, vous avez vu, il a mis sur pied l'initiative Survival Cameroun. Et le peuple camerounais avec Maurice Kamto ont pris leur destin en main.
Et les gens ont volé l'argent là, hein?
Non, personne n'a volé. Les Camerounais...
On a suspendu votre représentant à je sais pas, en euros, non? Parce qu'on a volé, c'est 1400 euros, non? Toujours est-il que... Jusqu'à ce que on a nommé quelqu'un d'autre pour prendre sa place parce que l'argent a été volé. Effectivement. Mais toujours est-il que le peu que nous avons pu avoir, nous avons géré cela et le président du mouvement, le président de cette commission a donné des rapports. Penda Ekoka, il a donné des rapports. Et vous avez vu comment on gouverne et le peuple camerounais a été satisfait. Vous avez, nous, on partageait des gels gratuits, des gels que le RDPC, le régime en place vendait à 5 000 francs. Nous, on partageait gratuits. On donnait des masques gratuits au peuple camerounais. Vous pensez qu'avec toutes ces actions-là, comment est-ce que le peuple ne doit pas aimer Maurice Kamto et les membres du mouvement pour la renaissance du Cameroun? Ça, c'est la réalité. Nous sommes, je ne blasphème pas là-dessus. Maurice Kamto est incontournable. Ça, c'est la vérité. Il a prouvé. Il a prouvé.
The problem is that when you said money was embezzled by his party, he used the word effectivement, proving that actually his party embezzled money, and he's the one calling. Aujourd'hui,
il a dit en français effectivement.
It's an individual who was taken out.
He has accepted corruption there now. That's the problem now. But he was making us to understand that.
Vous voyez que lui il va.
Not the party who was taken out and replaced because
it's an individual, not part of it.
Maintenant,
it's an individual.
I know about the matter.
When individuals of CPD are
je vais essayer
the matter presently. Je vais montrer
investigation.
They have not yet proven. Officially proven if the man invested the money or not.
Je vais montrer la différence entre la gestion de l'OMS et la gestion de
Non. Il ne veut pas le désordre. If you say the matter is under investigation. Those who are in Kondengi today, the matter is still in court now, but you know that they stole.
Those who are in Kondengi,
yes,
that they are like who?
Some of these ministers.
Yeah, they are in Kondengi.
Do you believe that they stole?
Why not? They stole.
So why don't you believe?
The ministry of the Cameroonians prove that they stole.
Why don't you believe the MRC guy? Because it's still investigation. But those guys are also in court now.
Mr. Journalist, if it is proven that the man stole, he should be brought to book. We cannot allow that people should be they should be misappropriating people's hard-earned money. We cannot take that. And all those things will stop.
Nous are not tolérons pas la mauvaise gestion. Nous ne tolérons pas la mauvaise gestion.
I was just saying that matter.
It's under investigation.
Yeah, I was just saying that because for the best of my knowledge, I've worked with Suivi Survival Cameroon. No, Suivi Survival Cameroon. I've been closer to Christian Penda Ekoka. I've been closer. I've seen how he does these things. So even when he's doing his publications, recently we were in a tour where we were in a together where during the Ranches Scholar where we gave books, rice, and all whatnot to IDPs. I had an NGO of which I'm the president, Texman. In that NGO we identify IDPs, and that is how I contacted Suvi. So I know how Suvi functions. So if that man embezzled money to be brought to book, because I know how these IDPs are suffering and people are suffering. They have money. When one individual want to embezzle money, we cannot take that. what I wanted to do. So that the CPC man should not come now and...
you cannot claim you know more than the member of the MLC. Do you know what it means for a...
Civil Survivor Cameroon is not MRC. Please. Civil Survivor Cameroon is not MRC.
Yeah, but the guy who chops money is MRC representative.
Exactly. Civil Survivor Cameroon is not MRC.
Just please.
Quand je dis
Civil Survivor Cameroon is not MRC. It's an initiative that was brought forth by Professor Maurice Campos as a Cameroonian.
Wow.
For good. No, it's good that we take Cameroonians.
Yeah, when I give you the mic, you explain those things now.
Quand je dis effectivement que nous avons suspendu celui qui a eu à gérer ou détourner les fonds de au Cameroun, je ne vois pas pourquoi mon ami du RDPC...
C'est pour montrer que vous êtes discipliné.
Exactement, et qu'on ne tolère pas le détournement. Par exemple, nous ne tolérons pas le détournement de fonds comme eux. Ils attendent que les gens votent des milliards et ensuite ils les envoient en prison, ils ne récupèrent même pas ces milliards. Nous sommes...
Il a remis l'argent.
Il va remettre.
Oh, il va
remettre. Nous n'allons pas tolérer. Je vous rappelle que nous sommes des justiciers. Nous ne tolérons pas l'injustice.
We have 10 more minutes to go. I'm going to give 2 minutes to each of us.
Not spoken. All of them are spoken.
Okay, go on.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We are talking about democracy, and we are in multi-partyism. We have 300 and something parties that have their ideologies, and they go in and they do their campaign and their election. It's a beautiful perspective of the maturity of our democracy. We have a democracy of about 50 years. We cannot compare with the democracy of America or the other continent that is about 300 and something years. And my co-panelist earlier said it is their thing that we are adapting. So when we are comparing the two, we should know. About alliance, alliance started ever since. Even the DC, after the election of 1953, Amadou Ejo had many parties, but what happened? Mbinda went with alliance with him and he came over. So alliance will always exist. There are 300 and something parties, yes. The CPD have the right to have alliance with other, the same as the PAP had an alliance with the Cameroon Renaissance movement. So there is no need to say that there are parties that have been this. No, there's a freedom of alliance. That's the beauty of democracy. And when we even analyze democracy to say, you know, of journalists that they have beaten this and that, we know what happened during the flood issue there, where a journalist of CNN was beaten live, everybody saw. But in America, they are the father of democracy. So when we are analyzing, we should not take isolated cases to generalize them, to give an impression that this is that. When we talk about liberty of press, when we talk about liberty, freedom, we should ensure that when we talk about liberty, it means that you have a freedom to do something, let it not affect another person's own freedom. That's the definition of freedom. So when people elect their democratic president, President Paul Biya, and you decide to say you want to have a move to send people to the street to remove a president that have been democratically elected by another person, that is no longer the freedom we preach, because that freedom that you want to do violate the democratic right of somebody that voted President Paul Biya. So we should be able to distinguish between these things when we are talking about freedom and democracy. In the CEMAC zone, Cameroon has the best democracy. If you want to debate, the facts are there. There are sources that you can get your data. In the CEMAC zone, Cameroon has the best. And in Africa, we are seeing Cameroon going ahead. And we had centralized system, and now we are going to effective decentralization. And these elections are coming up. I'll call on all municipal councillors of the Northwest and Southwest region to go out and vote, because after this election, it will be a beautiful opportunity so that we can put in place the special status that was given to us by Cameroonians during the Grand National Dialogue. So I will ask all of them to go out and vote, and that will be respecting the final stage of our democracy, the final institution of decentralization. So I will call up all of them
to go and vote. They are representing the people. The people voted them to be councillors, and now councillors, they are voting indirectly. That means that it is still the people that they are representing in this election. So I call of all of them to go and vote. They should not listen to all these political parties that don't have one municipal councillor, and they say that they are being loved by the people. At least if your political party is being loved by the people, you should at least have one councillor. One. But if in the national territory, they don't have one councillor.
They refuse not to run for elections.
You are talking on behalf of who? That is democracy. A political party is talking on behalf of people that have elected that party. So CPDM has the obese majority because the people love them and they voted for them. So they are talking on behalf of that people. You people without councillor, without anything, you are talking on behalf of who? Nobody. So please, I'm begging everybody to go out and vote this coming 6th December so that decentralization will be effective.
Yes. 2 minutes each. What do we expect more from persons like Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH? Not only him, because there are many more persons who play a similar role that he does for Cameroon.
Though I agree with most of the things that Dr. Christopher FOMUNYOH has on his interview on the Guardian Post, where was he? The question of first of all, where has he been all this while? Where has he been all this while? When they have been calling people names, it is no secret that the former president of the Popular Action Party, Justice Ayapo Abine, was arrested.
He was in prison.
Because of the Anglophone Party, because he said such facts today that are coming up 4 years after, with people like Dr. FOMUNYOH who were against, who were not saying anything. Where was he? Where was he? So what we are trying to say is that, well, there is always a saying that it is better late than never. We have seen people like Christian, the Christian Cardinal Tumi, most of his stands that he has had. We have seen the price he paid for a man of that caliber to be on the ground. Can you imagine? So we are saying that people like Dr. FOMUNYOH should not play politics with Cameroonians. Okay. They should not play politics with Cameroonians. What? That is why I'm calling on my brother of the CPDM that we should come together. We are not saying that the political transition of this country should be done without the CPDM. That's not what we are saying. But we are saying that they should understand that they have failed. And since they have failed, they should be humble enough
to join the PAP.
And the other allies.
Okay.
They should be humble enough because they have failed.
Okay.
Yes.
What do we expect from like minds as Dr. FOMUNYOH?
Well, I think that he's just pushing his own candidacy in the future as another presidential candidate, if such a time will be given to him. That's the way I see it, and I see him not coming as a man of personal opinion, but it's a man who is trying to seize an opportunity which the people of Cameroon are going through. But at the end of the day, people like that cannot still bring the kind of changes that we are looking for in Cameroon. Now, I gave some examples some other time ago on this platform. We saw what the Malians had been through in the hand for 25 years under a democratic system that has never favored them. In 2000, when George Bush was in the process of being elected as a president in the United States, he stole 450,000 votes. We just came from seeing the last elections that were held by Trump and Biden. We realized that the elections were also rigged to a certain extent, whereby people began complaining. So democracy has not worked in any part of the world. We saw also in Ivory Coast, the people say we don't want you, but he is still getting the power. You saw also in Zimbabwe, after Mugabe led for 2 decades, a new president came in, a new regime came in, like just what the other panelists was talking there. You cannot say this kind of things you are saying on TV. The next day you'll be gone. Even that same day you'll be gone. That is what the people of Zimbabwe today are suffering in the hands of a regime where Mugabe, who had led the country to self-determination, a man who brought in one person, one vote, in Zimbabwe. Today, another power comes in and is regressing the country again back into a colonial system. So the issue of change has always been my greatest concern, that Cameroonians, if they want change in Cameroon, it should not be behind a political party, because the same results we are getting today, you cannot apply the same thing and expect to get a different result. Until we begin to understand that it's going to take the population in this country themselves to make a decision to choose the kind of system that they will want to lead them, the kind of leaders they will want to lead them. And when we begin to have a mindset that is through a political party, we will always remain to be divided, because there's no political party in this country that can stand the existing one. There is none. The power is in the hands of the population. It is the population that can decide, like we saw in Mali, and say, we don't want you, and the Keita administration went down without any bloodshed. The population themselves decided. The same thing we are seeing today in Belarus. So these are the points that I'm making, Mr. Liu, that it is the people of Cameroon that have to make that call.
Oui, Gaël, qu'est-ce que vous attendez des gens comme le docteur Christopher FOMUNYOH? Vous êtes politicien, votre président national est politicien, mais les gens comme eux, ils ne sont pas clairement politiques. Vous attendez qu'ils fassent quoi?
Ce que j'attends des gens comme docteur Christopher, ce sont des sages. Ce que j'attends de lui, c'est qu'il essaye de se rapprocher de ses petits frères, qui ont eu le courage de se prononcer sur la résolution réelle des problèmes du Cameroun, donner des conseils, leur donner des méthodes à suivre pour que nous puissions résoudre définitivement les différentes crises socio-politiques dans notre pays. Maintenant, j'écoute des gens, mes camarades, nos panélistes, qui disent que la démocratie, parlent de la démocratie, ils disent que le fait qu'on se retrouve ici pour parler librement sans être inquiété signifie en réalité que nous sommes en démocratie. Non. Abraham Lincoln disait la démocratie, c'est le gouvernement du peuple, par le peuple et pour le peuple. Quand vous nous laissez la liberté de parler comme ça change quoi? Il faut laisser le peuple gérer sa chose. Il faut remettre la victoire du peuple au peuple pour que le peuple puisse prendre son destin en main.
Mais ça éduque quand même les gens, hein? Ça éduque les gens. Beaucoup de gens apprennent pas les débats comme ça, non?
Effectivement, mais cela ne signifie pas, lorsqu'on voit qu'on tabasse des gens dans une salle d'audience, est-ce que cela ressemble à une démocratie? Il faudrait que le gouvernement, faudrait que dans notre pays...
All right, about Dr. FOMUNYOH, he's a Cameroonian and he has the right to benefit with the liberty of press and give his own opinion. It is welcome, but that is his opinion. What he should do is to tell these people in the diaspora that are running for Swiss, begging for 5,000 euro, that are hustling money, collecting money from people, he should tell them to stop and let them ask those boys to drop their arms and come out from the bushes. Let us solve the problem that we all know. And about the regional election, Kamer, I would like to take this opportunity to greet all the mayors of the Northwest that they should come out and vote massively and have their House of Chief and empower it so that they can preserve our culture, because now we are killing ourselves because of the French and the British culture. This is an opportunity for them, the chief, to preserve our culture, and to also to all the chiefs in the Southwest region to do the same and preserve our own culture. Today we are dying because of a white man culture when we can preserve our own. To all the councillors, this is time for them to come, vote the regional house that will decide the fate of our educational system and our health system. I would like to thank some people like Honorable Galajera that have been doing everything possible for election to go on this 6th December in Camer, hinge-free. I would like to also thank Honorable Njingu Musa that is doing everything, and even Senator Mbela Mokicha that they are out mobilizing to ensure that this final phase of decentralization is being put so that we have effective decentralization, which is moving to the end of this problem that we are having. So to conclude, I will say, please, my brothers of the Northwest and Southwest region, we are fighting about a white man culture, system of education, judicial system, all this. It is the white man culture. Let us build our own. Let us build our own.
Moi, je voulais m'adresser à nos compatriotes du Nord-Ouest et du Sud-Ouest, leur demander de ne pas aller, de ne pas participer à ces mascarades.
Oui, mais ce sont les
élections. Non, les élections régionales ne vont pas résoudre la crise anglophone. Ne vont pas résoudre la crise anglophone. Je demande à la population anglophone de ne pas participer à cette mascarade électorale.
I'm coming, please. C'est fini avec le débat. Fini, s'il vous plaît. We just want to say thank you for coming from all the way from Yaoundé.
The pleasure is mine. That's why I'm saying that I want to use this opportunity to salute my president, Mr. Njang Denis, who facilitated my coming here to Yaoundé, and also the militants of the Popular Action Party, especially in the Yaoundé 6 convention. I want to greet the Secretary General, Madame Senge, the Communication Secretary, Mr. Ngole, and all the other militants of the party, especially in the Yaoundé 6 convention.
And Fabrice Leonard Tuna.
and by Secretary General, Mr. Fabrice Leonard, don't forget. I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu, and thank you for the platform that you are giving to us to enlighten and to educate our listeners, our viewers. Thank you very much.
Merci d'être venu.
Merci aussi, Monsieur Léo, de m'avoir invité encore une fois de plus dans votre chaîne. Je ne saurais quitter sans dire un spécial bonsoir au président de mon parti politique, c'est toujours séquestré, pour le président élu, le professeur Maurice Kamto. Et je dis également un bonsoir à ma famille du côté de Bamenda. Je dis également bonsoir à toutes les militants de ma base électorale de Douala 3e, surtout aux militants de ma commune Douala 3-4. Et bonsoir au grand leader Chamago de cette commune.
Okay. Thank you too. You greet the President of the Republic.
Of course, you know, the head of state has always been there, and his love has always been there. He always says that Bamenda is close to his heart, and when he says that, he holds his heart. And I would like also to thank all Cameroonians and that have been supporting.
Thank you for coming.
And most especially Honorable Ngalajira, that is the vicar of peace in Camer. That peace reign in Camer. It's a pleasure to really be here and to talk to all Cameroonians. We are all here talking here because we love our country. We expect all of you viewers to also love Cameroon.
Okay, on Sunday, elections are going to be holding across Cameroon for the regional councils that are going to be existing in all 10 regions of the country. We want to thank you very much, Desmond, and to you, Eli, Bertrand, not forgetting you, Tabi, Tambe Bryant, and all of you who took time off to follow the program this evening. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.